Queens and Newberry meet for the second time this season on Wednesday night, and Coach Lundy is here with us. Coach, I want to go back to the Anderson game for just a second. An overtime victory. No game in the South Atlantic Conference, especially a road game, is easy to pull out a win. But this season in overtime, you are 2-0. Obviously, overall on the season, 17-1. It just seems like your team has a knack to handle the late game situation. Where does that come from?
Well, I think we've got tough guys, and they when they need to get stops, that's really where it starts. When they need to get stops and buckle down, we've been able to do that and give ourselves a chance to make offensive plays that everybody remembers those offensive plays. But it's really the ability to get stops on the defensive end to win those late game situations.
Is that something that you can teach and coach, or is it just a matter of having the right guys with the right mentality to a certain extent?
I would say it's the right guys. I'd love to pat myself on the back and say it's about me, but we don't spend a ton of time manufacturing late game situations in practice. We work on our systems, and our systems are what they are, and we run what we have. We don't make things up as we go. So it really comes down to those guys making plays.
It's amazing to me because even in the Wingate game down the stretch, you said, well, we played the final 3 minutes of that game pretty well as well. So we've been in the only loss this season. You didn't have Ike Agassi, first time in a Queens uniform that he misses a start. Your starting point guard on Saturday versus Anderson. Ike in the lineup versus out of the lineup. What does that do? How does that change your team?
A healthy Ike completely changes our team. He is with the combination of Daniel Carr, a tremendous defensive start to our defense. Those guys out front make it hard for the other team to even get the ball across half court every single possession. And without him, we lose some of that. And you know that he's gonna kind of take his man out of the mix defensively. And then on the other end of the spectrum, he runs our engine offensively. He's fast. He uses ball screens extremely well. He finds guys. You've got to honor his jump shot because he can really shoot it. So, taking him out of your lineup, there's an argument that he would be our most valuable piece.
I don't think that you can really argue against losing your point guard. That's a pretty big struggle. He could go coming up here on Wednesday. We'll wait and see. How does that affect the rotation, though, as a whole? Saturday did see the emergence of a couple of other guys that haven't necessarily contributed as much this year. Rob Whitfield, who has played a bit, and Josh Brodowitz, a freshman who hasn't played at all.
Yeah, well, Josh injured with his shoulder all first semester, really the very first practice of the year. Has committed to coming off his red shirt and trying to help the team, and then Rob, who played a lot in the first semester and hasn't seen as much time in the second semester. But I think for me and for all our guys, we have complete confidence in those guys' ability and their commitment to the team. And that's part of having a team is when one guy goes down, you have other guys that are step in and fill that role. It's why we practice as hard as we do every day. And I don't ask Jalen Alexander to practice hard and Rob Whitfield not to practice hard. They all stay sharp and they all commit to it, and we're together.
Let's talk a little bit about Newberry. Obviously, it's an interesting style. We've talked enough about that back at the beginning of this season and as well in our time here in the SAC. They play that hockey line change style of basketball. All five on the court will come off at every substitution. You're going to run up and down. They score about 100 points per game. How do you prepare for that in practice? Do you limit the guys at all in terms of how much time they spend on their feet or give them more rest? How do you go about that?
Well, no. That's completely probably against what we really believe. We're going to practice the way we practice. It might not be long, but it's going to be really hard and intense. You have to change everything for Newberry. If you try to do what you normally do and not game plan against their style, then you're in for a long night. So we study what they do, and we try our best to incorporate our principles and how to guard it and how to attack it on the other end. And you really do have to kind of throw out your playbook for one game here in the middle of the season, and then once that game's over, retool and get back to what you do. So I have great respect for Coach Davis. He's done this for years. How he gets his guys to play that hard every single game and to go 5 in, 5 out is a testament to him as a coach.
When you played them the first time around, it was the first game of conference season, and I thought it was a rather easy victory for you. I think I remember saying to you at the time, of the 6 or 7 games that you had played, that was your best performance of the season. They've been a different team of late. They rattled off 7 consecutive victories. They have lost their last 2. One of them was a 1-point loss in overtime to Catawba, who obviously is talented and can give a lot of teams in this conference fits. What's different about Newberry now as opposed to when you faced them earlier in the season?
Well, they've got they've grown. They had a lot of new pieces. They've grown together. They have added a couple guys. One of those guys was in the lineup and now is out. I think he's injured. So they do have a couple new pieces. And then, it's just their style. I mean, they as the season goes on, they kind of get a little better because, teams get worn down. We played them early in the year when everyone's fresh. Now we're mid-January. Not everyone's fresh and everybody's a little banged up, and they're still sending in 5 at a time at you. So I think, their style gets better as the season goes on. Now, late in the year, you can make arguments. Is that how you want to play late in the year? That's they do what they do, and I respect that. But this time of the year, boy, it's hard to get that energy to go in and play that style.
Put your running shoes on.
Put your running shoes on.
All right. Wednesday night, Queens and Newberry from South Carolina. We'll have the play-by-play coverage for you on queensathletics.com/Royals Live, and hopefully I won't be out of breath. Bart Lundy, head coach of the Royals. Thanks, Coach.
Thank you, Phil.